So, Bruchim Abayim, welcome everybody. It's fantastic to see all of you here tonight for one more night of our Selihot series 2021 5782. And we wanted to honor letter Vav with George Franklin, who is so kindly going to help us understand better this letter. And before we do that, I'm going to share the screen by going, as we do every single night, to sing Adona Selihot. You remember this piyut that is an acrostic, goes from Aleph to Tav. It covers all the letters. This week we are beginning with the Hey, going all the way to the Chet. So the refrain, Chatanu lefanecha rachem alenu, is what we sing together. Chatanu lefanecha rachem alenu, Chatanu lefanecha rachem alenu. And the lines that I will sing, feel free to join me if you know it. Hadur beniflaot, vatik benechamot, zocher berit abot, choker kelayot, chatanu lefanecha rachem alenu, chatanu lefanecha rachem alenu. And now I have the immense honor to invite George Franklin, who is going to teach us about letter Vav. George is a very, very special friend, not only of mine, but also of Shirat HaNefesh, our community, Shirat HaNefesh congregation. George does everything from doing accounting to read from the Torah to co-lead services for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. I don't really know what he also teaches meditation. It's unbelievable what George does, and he does it always willingly. You would never hear one thing about it that shows anything other than happiness. And so instead of me keep talking, I'm going, as this is my immense honor, to invite George to unmute, and I'm going to spotlight you for everyone. George, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Hazan Ramon. It's a pleasure to be here, and good evening to everyone. It's good to see everybody. I'm going to. So you may be wondering, why did I choose to speak about the letter Vav? Why did I fall in love with that letter? Well, stay tuned. There'll be more about that later. Many great thinkers over the centuries have conceived of the universe in terms of the advanced technology of their day. And they have also conceived of God creating and sustaining the universe by means of this same technology. So we have the metaphor from Sir Isaac Newton and others of the universe as clockwork. That was the high tech of that era, and hence the expression of calling God the divine watchmaker. Now, today, some of the most advanced physicists are saying that the basic stuff of the universe is actually information. Now, this concept takes us not back to the future, like the old movie, but rather forward into the past. Um, as Rabbi Jerry taught us on Sunday night, uh, our sages of ancient times taught that God created the universe with the 22 letters of the alphabet, the high tech, the advanced information processing of that era. So, uh, so here's a nice alphabet chart. There's the Vav, and each of the letters is assigned a numeric value. They used to be used to represent numbers. So Vav, being the sixth letter, is the number 6. So, so we say that the letters were part of the creation, and let's look at the first verse of the Torah. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. What's really interesting about this, there are 22 letters in the alphabet. The Vav here is the 22nd letter in this verse. Vav is the number 6, and ve'et is the 6th word in the verse. The Vav here is a connector, and it looks Hashamayim, the heavens, with Haaretz, the earth. And heaven and earth together represent the totality of all things. The word et here, which is the direct object marker, also represents the totality of all things because it starts with Aleph, first letter, ends with Tav, the last letter. So it's kind of like our American English idiom, everything from A to Z. Now the Zohar reads the Hebrew word Bereshit in Aramaic as bara sheet. He created 6, alluding to the 6 days of creation. Also, 6 millennia of this world's existence, and the 6 directions, the 4 points of the compass, above and below. Vav originated as a pictogram. It's a connector. It represents a hook or a nail. Some people say it represents an oar, which is a kind of connector. You can row the boat from one bank of the river to the other, connecting the two sides. And by its shape, it suggests a pillar. The Talmud refers to the pillars of creation, and the term pillar of truth refers to divinity, piercing through the heart of all created things. Vav can also be seen as a human being standing erect, feet firmly planted on the ground and head aspiring towards the heavens. Vav stands straight and tall, head modestly bowed, unassuming in appearance. He's a hard-working letter. He's always there when you need him. Representing the number 6, he works 6 days a week. On Erev Shabbat, he visits with his sister Shin, and together they make Kiddush. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat. So let's shadow the letter Vav on a typical day and see how he spends his time. So in grammar, as we spoke of, Vav is ha-chibur, the connector, a conjunction. In biblical Hebrew, Vav can mean either and or but. A verse in a Song of Songs, which is attributed to King Solomon, reads, Shechora ani v'na'ava. I am dark but comely, but being the usual translation in English. Or we could very well say, I am dark and comely. Many of us will recall when the slogan, Black is Beautiful, became part of the national conversation here in the U.S. So this represents the Queen of Sheba, who is Solomon's legendary consort, who is drawn to him by his reputation for wisdom. Now comes the part we've been waiting for. Why did I fall in love with the letter Vav? Vav ha-hipuch, or Vav conversive. Vav is used as a prefix to a verb, and it changes the verb from perfect to imperfect, or vice versa, which is roughly, past or future tense, or from future to past tense. It takes us back to the future. It takes us forward to the past. This is Vav's superpower. When I first studied biblical Hebrew, when I first learned about this, I'm kind of a language nerd, and I thought this is the coolest thing I ever heard of in any language. I mean, it literally kept me up that night. I was too excited to sleep that night after I learned about that. But we'll look at some examples. Ahavta, you loved. Ve'ahavta, you shall love. Vishamru, they shall keep. Vayomer, he said. Thinking how Vav does this and thinking of its tall, slender shape, I think of a magic wand. And when I think of a magic wand, I think of the ancient formula attributed to Aramaic. Avra Kedavra. I create as I speak. You'll also notice, in the word examples here, that Vav is versatile phonetically, that it serves as a consonant, letter V in English, or the O or the U sound as a vowel. Now, from grammar, we shade into other realms of Jewish thought. So Vav has a part in the verb to be, specifically in the present tense. So we have haya, past tense, hove, present, ihye, and future. Now, hove is generally not written or spoken, it's assumed. It's evident from the context of the sentence. So, once again, Vav is working modestly behind the scenes. In this case with the Te'amim, the Hay twins. But this verb takes us into even deeper philosophical waters, as the root affirms a noun form, havaya, meaning being, a very abstract but important concept. And you shuffle letters around a little. You have Yud He Vav He, the ineffable name of God. Now, we all know the power and the importance of this name. An interesting note here is in Jewish meditation, especially in Kabbalah, the letters of the name become the object of contemplation in some forms of meditation. You make permutations of them with different vowels. Now we get into realms of human conduct, of Jewish ethics. The upright stature of the Vav symbolizes all the souls of Am Yisrael standing together as one before God. And also, we think of our great teacher Maimonides, who taught a middle path in conduct. The Vav can represent the middle path, avoiding either extreme in matters of character and temperament. Now, this is news we can use, a very helpful stratagem for our teshuva in this season, or really any time we're inclined to work on ourselves. The Rambam taught that we could improve on our undesirable traits by making ourselves go to the opposite extreme for a while. So, for example, if somebody is a miser, they could force themselves to spend extravagantly for a while to break that habit of miserliness. And the goal here is to end up in that middle path, not either extreme, neither a miser uh, nor a spendthrift, neither overly indulgent nor an ascetic. Now, the Eitz Chaim, Kabbalistic thought, represents God's divine emanations through which God interacts with the world. And in some systems of Kabbalah, well, you'll see the letters are all letters of the alphabet are assigned to the paths between the Sephirot, the channels through which the energy flows. In some systems, Vav is associated with Tiferet, which is the middle path between Gevurah, the Sephirah of discipline, of rigor and strictness, and Chesed, loving kindness. So this is the ideal, not going to one extreme or the other. Although in this particular diagram, you see there are different systems for this. Say assign the Vav up here between Keter and Binah, Binah being discernment. And this to me seems a little paradoxical. Binah is all about separating things, making distinctions, good and evil, light and dark, holy and profane. But Jewish thought in Kabbalah can tolerate differences of opinion and even paradox. An interesting paradox with Vav is the Vavei Ha'amudim, the Vavs or hooks that we read about that connect the pillars of the Mishkan, the holy tabernacle of the wilderness, to the curtains. The purpose of this was to hang up curtains to screen the interior of the Mishkan from public view. Now, a main source for my presentation in this example in particular was the book The Aleph Beit by Hasidic Rabbi Yitzhak Ginsburg. Rabbi Ginsburg says, the curtains of the tabernacle represent the power of concealment that exists between worlds, each higher world hiding itself behind a curtain from the lower world. The pillars stand for manifest revelations of light, channeled downward from world to world. The hooks, Vavs, serve to connect the two powers of concealment and revelation. Thus, the name Vav refers to the hooks connecting the two seemingly opposite powers of concealment and revelation. Concealment is merely a means toward an end, revelation, as taught in Chassidut. Now he really stumped me when I first read this, but I kind of got the idea after I thought about it. We know we're taught that a human being cannot see God's face and live. And we know that when Moses came down from Mount Sinai, his face was so radiant that he had to wear a veil on his face because the people could not bear to see the brightness. So I think this is what Rabbi Ginsburg was getting at. The divine light is too strong for us. It has to be partially concealed. It has to be tempered to our ability to receive it. Now, Vav also partners with the wise Lamed Vav, which is the number 36, also representing the Lamed Vavnikim, the 36 hidden Sadikim, 36 secret righteous people upon whom the world, the existence of the world, rests. Now we're going into the season of Teshuvah. Repent one day before your death. As we do our Teshuvah in these days of consolation, we look to the Vatik B'Neshamot, the experienced consoler, to console us in knowing that our Teshuvah is effective and is being accepted. And when the occasion arises, we should be sure, Badai, to recite the Vidui, our confession, to verbally seal our Teshuvah. Thank you. Erev Tov.
So thank you so much, George. Wow, what an amazing amount of meaningful information you have given us. It's really remarkable that you were able to cover all these different spheres and moments and places and times in 20 minutes. So that's really remarkable. You tempt me to say, since you are honoring letter Vav, that many of us live in Washington, D.C., or if you say it in Hebrew, Washington. So with a Vav, right, replacing the W. Um, it's
Yes, that's where
fantastic.
we live.
So it's fantastic to hear you one more time. It's always really, really impressive. I want to remind everybody that if you have missed any of the previous sessions of Selihot, you can always go to www.shiratanefesh.org/Selihot. That is it will take you to every single one of the different recordings videos that we had. Those are there because there is a gentleman called Irv Cohen that is right here with us who had made all this possible. Not only now, but many for many decades have made it possible. He has the Vav of the past, of the present, and the future, we hope. So thank you, Irv, for that. And I want to also remind everybody that I have the incredible opportunity and joy to invite for tomorrow night Janina Greenberg for our next letter Zion. She is coming all the way from Buenos Aires, Argentina. She's going to be teaching us at 8 o'clock p.m. I also want to remind you that Shirat HaNefesh is having as a an overarching theme this year the idea of Shavat Aniyim Ata Tishma, the clamor of the poor you will hear, and we are associated with Jews United for Justice, who's an organization here in the DC and Maryland area that organizes around 14,000 Jews and allies, and and not only shares Jewish values but actively pursues social and economic justice and racial equity in our local communities. Among the many topics that they are working on are the Maryland needs paid family and medical leave, but many others, and you can go to jufj.org to see everything that they are working on, and to remind you that on August 28th, that Saturday night for the so-called Ashkenazi Selihot, we will be having them, and as well as another institution, Ben the Ark, who are going to be talking to us in as an introduction to the Selihot service that we, of course, pray every one of us, is and see right here, Ir Cohen says to George, absolutely great. Loretta Vitale Sachs says, thank you so much. Laurie Franks, wonderful, thank you very much. Lots of great new information. And Ricky Henschel says, thank you. Laughter through provoking. The laughter thought provoking. Great. I'm sure they are only a few of the thoughts that people have here within us. I want to thank everybody for supporting for the second year this Selihot series. I hope very much that you're able to join us tomorrow at the same time, 8 p.m. And until then, I wish you, on behalf of Shirat HaNefesh congregation and myself, a Laila Tov. May you have a wonderful evening. May you be beginning in this month of Elul a time, an overarching time of only blessings and good health. Laila
Thank
Tov,
you.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Lila Tov.
Laila
Thank
Laila
you,
Tov.
Tov.
George.